y'all? It's your girl, Nicole Wray, a.k.a. Billie Holiday of the Streets, and I'm right here on YouKnowIGotSoul.com.
Oh, hi, Nicole. How's everything going?
Everything's good. How are you?
I'm doing pretty good as well. Thank you for taking the time out for the interview. We appreciate it.
Absolutely.
Just wanted
Thanks for having me.
No problem. Just wanted to start off with your debut album. Take me back to that album and what the recording process was like for that album.
You mean Make It Hot?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Oh, wow. Well, actually, I was kind of, just getting started, fresh out of high school, and, was doing, a small tour with, I believe, Missy and the Super Friends team, camp, which was Aaliyah, Ginuwine, Player, Timbaland, myself, I think Magoo. We were doing some, shows. We started, in the Tidewater area, Virginia Beach, and then we went on to L.A., and I think we did Georgia. I think we did a small international tour also. But the process of working on that album was pretty unique because I was, young and fresh out of high school, still wet behind the ears. Wasn't doing any writing, just, following, Missy Elliott, and she had, writers that came in. Static Major from Player. He played a very key part in my career. He did half of the album, I believe. I remember Missy saying that she wanted me to work with the guys, and I remember vivid that she got them on the phone. I believe it was Static and Smoke. I think it was all three of them on the phone, and I sang for them over the phone. And then a little while later, they came into Virginia to one of our number one studios at the time. It was called Master Sounds, and I would record there after school. And I would work, closely with Static. He would come in. He was always focused and very quiet, but very talented. And he would write the songs. He would, first he would talk to me first and see. He was trying to get to know me, asking me about my life and where I grew up, if I had a boyfriend, and how did I feel about my boyfriend, and what was going on in my life, how I felt about, different issues and on life and stuff like that. And then we would closely work together on a couple of songs.
Yeah.
That made the album.
Yeah.
Which I still love today.
Yeah, definitely. Now, you had instant success with Make It Hot, your first single, so take me back to that whole moment and, what you were feeling at the time, because for a lot of new artists, it takes them a while until they get that number one hit, but it happened for you almost immediately.
Wow, I kind of remember it vivid. We were in, I think it was in Manhattan, New York, in the studio. Missy, she came in. And I was there waiting for her, and she played me a record that Timbaland had produced. And I wasn't sold on it right away. It was a little weird for me. I came up listening to, I guess because it was kind of, up-tempo, and it was such in a low key for me.
Yeah.
And I didn't like it right away. I did not like it right away. I didn't learn it right away. She had herself and I think another writer by the name of Kelly Price from Virginia that came in and laid the vocals down for me. And I came in, and I remember having something to eat and listening to the record a couple of times, and I went in the booth, and I didn't get it right away. So she gave me the CD and told me to go home. And I mean, not go home because I was out of state. And she go to my hotel and actually listen to it over and over again so I could learn it. And once I felt like I had it, we came back in the studio, and then I started loving the record. I started living with it. I started practicing it. I guess for me, I wasn't a writer at the time, but for that moment, she kept telling me, she was like, I'm telling you, this song will take off. It's going to take off. And it did. It took off. I went in the studio, and I laid it down, and they loved it. I remember Sylvia Rose coming to one of my sessions at the time, and she was loving it. And I remember going back home and going to, back to school. I was in my senior year, and I was telling all my friends, that I had recorded an album and that I was working with Total and that I was working with SDBG and Missy Elliott, and nobody believed me. And I had met Faith Evans at the time and held little Chris, Biggie's son, at the time, and I had pictures, and I was showing all my friends in school. And one day at lunch in the cafeteria, my video came on because they would let us watch videos. I went to an urban high school. The name of the school was Booker T, predominantly black African American high school, right across the street from Norfolk State University. And the people went nuts in my cafeteria in my school, and from that moment I was known as Nicole Wray. You know, I had fans in school. I also had people that hated on me. I had my locker, and I had like pictures, and people would write stuff on my locker, whether it be mean or good. But you know, it was weird. It was an excitement, and it was also a sadness because I kind of went straight from my friends and from having a life, a social life, to having like a life on the road, and I really, you know, I didn't understand it, and it just kind of happened really, really, really quickly for me, and I didn't really grasp it all. It was happening so fast that I would enjoy my career, and then I would, you know, start touring, and then picking up, you know, the writing skills, and started writing like shortly after that to start my second album. And to do, you know, go in the studio and try to have these lyrics and try to figure out where I was after Make It Hot. It was exciting. It was very sad. It was difficult at the same time, and it was an experience for me because I was still like a teenager, you know.
Yeah. And then one of my favorite songs actually off the Make It Hot album was one of the songs that Static wrote, which is Raise Your Frown. So take me back to that song and what you remember about recording that one.
I remember Static pulling me aside, and you know, they had video games in the studio. This was actually a studio where somebody in Virginia at the time, you know, Virginia is a very small place, but it has a lot of talent. And you know, you would have Pharrell come through, and you know, playing video games and laughing and talking. And he was getting to know me, and I had a boyfriend at the time, and him and I were going through something. I was kind of evolving in my career, and he didn't understand me traveling and being an artist, and you know, being away from home, because we started out best friends, and you know, my career kind of snatched me away from him. And I was kind of telling Static that I was sad, and that my boyfriend was sad at the time, and that I was just trying to understand what he was feeling, what he was feeling from Nicole, the Nicole that he knew, you know, in school together, going to the movies, and then Nicole being taken away from him to go sing on stage and to be around celebrities. And, you know, I was just trying to understand my boyfriend at the time, and I didn't know if we were going to be together, or if he was going to accept my career, or if I was going to how long we were going to be in this relationship, and how long it was going to last. And I remember talking to Static, and he was kind of, you know, he started singing this melody. You know, will you raise your frown? You don't have to worry. I won't let you down. You know, it was kind of like me telling the guy, I won't let you down. And because I'm not happy when you're mad at me. Baby, don't throw our love away. You know, and at that moment, I respected Static at that moment. I was like, because I didn't really know the depths of a songwriter and what the songwriter went through. Even though I was always around Missy Elliott, you know, she lived a fast-paced life, a party life, and from a Static, I didn't really know him. I just saw song and emotion in Static. So, and he saw that in me, and that's when I started respecting, like, wow, he's really definitely took a part of my life and put it on this record. Unlike Missy just, you know, she wrote records. She knew me, and but she just was writing records. I don't think that she was trying to get a story from me. It was just that she was so articulate in what she did. She could just write a song, and you would think it was about my life. But Static would really try to get in depth with me as a person and find out who Nicole Wray was and what Nicole was doing outside of the music, and did she love her family? You know, was she sad? Was she happy? Did she want to party? Was she being pressured? Was she being peer pressured? A lot of those things he was pulling from me, and you can hear those in the records that he wrote.
Yeah, definitely.
For me.
Definitely. And then following with that album, you went to work on your second album, Elektric Blue. So what was the mindset going into this album, and what were you trying to do creatively?
Wow. I was a nerve ball, because To live up to Make It Hot, you know, I wasn't a writer at the time. I had a lot of big writers come in, you know, Missy Elliott, Ginuwine, Static, and Little Mo had done a lot of writing. And a lot of people was encouraging me, my management team, and everybody was encouraging me to start writing. And I also had a story. You know, my dad at the time was on drugs. He was on the streets, and you know, my mom and my dad had divorced when I was 12, and that my career didn't, like, really happen until I was, like, 15, 16, where I started being exposed to different artists and celebrities, and, you know, always wondering when I would go home, like, where was my dad? You know, he was homeless for a long time. And I had a sadness, you know, that was in me, and I wanted to talk about those things. I wanted to talk about my sadness. I wanted to talk about partying and me being, you know, starting to, you know, experience the club life and, you know, being away from home. And it was definitely a challenge for me because I was still wet behind the ears and still somewhat culture shocked and celebrity, that just coming into my celebrityhood and trying to figure out where I stood and my style, different styles, and who I was, and, you know, just experimenting with a lot of things. It was definitely a challenge, and they opened up a budget. My record company opened up a budget, and I would begin to go in the studio with a lot of producers, and we would record a gang of songs, and then we would let Missy hear the songs, whether she liked them, and she, you know, felt like I should work harder on the records, and I think I kind of got lost in that.
Yeah.
You know, Missy being a, you know, big artist and traveling, and me just trying to find my way, kind of without her in a sense, because she wasn't there for the second album. Yeah. She was like doing a lot of touring, and I was kind of there, left to figure it out, you know, and see if she liked it, or if she was going to come in. And she did have a couple of records that we did record, but she got so busy out there that I kind of got lost in the just trying to figure out, you know, where we were going.
Yeah.
But I kind of found my way, and I'm thankful today because I did figure it out. I'm writing to this day because of that experience. You know, being just out there, you know, trying to figure it out. And I learned a lot along the ways. I had my brother help me. I worked with a lot of other writers who would inspire me. So I'm thankful today.
Along with you, Missy was also working very closely with Little Mo and Tweet at the time, so was that ever difficult for you?
It was definitely not difficult for me. I am definitely a team player. Now in my career, I work with artists that, you know, they don't understand working alongside with other artists. I never had a problem with working with Mo. I never really worked with Tweet, but me and her, we were starting a friendship, but it was shortly lived. I still have much respect for Tweet and Little Mo for their music and their craft and their ability to be able to be under Missy's umbrella at the time and still be creative, and we all work alongside each other. Definitely wasn't a problem for me. It was just, you know, the experience and evolving and trying to figure out my way to who Nicole Wray is today.
Now, following with that, you had a Rockefeller situation. You had the single If I Was Your Girlfriend, which had kind of a different sound from Make It Hot and even I'm Looking. So was that the direction that you wanted to go in with your music at the time?
Absolutely, and everybody has to understand that I was, you know, a teenager, and I wasn't writing when Make It Hot came out. So when If I Was Your Girlfriend came out or was written, I was actually, you know, more involved in my sexuality, me being a female, me being grown, me being free, just experiencing freedom to just just freedom as being an artist and being creative and being able to sing about sexuality without being spanked or saying, no, Nicole, you can't do that. Or no, Nicole, you have to cover your tattoo. So it was actually, for me, that record was me being free and me experiencing being an adult. And because I was always, you know, the artist where, you know, I was told, you know, Nicole, you can't do this, you can't do that, you have to be careful. Unlike today, you know, you can have a million tattoos, piercings, butt cheeks out, breasts out, you know, being free. back when I first came out, that was kind of like a no-no.
Yeah.
You know, it was like, you don't want to get involved in that, or the label would drop you, or you won't be respected. You won't. So me doing that, if I was your girlfriend song, I was amongst people that were, were letting me be free, were understanding who Nicole Wray was, and loving me smiling, loving me laughing, loving, my creativity. So I was embracing that. So when you hear If I Was Your Girlfriend, that was me just embracing my adulthood. From all of the years that I couldn't, and I was going to be spanked for it, I just felt like I'm free, and I'm going to sing about this. Touch me, tease me, ha ha ha, type of vibe.
Yeah. Cool.
So that's what you were getting with If I Was Your Girlfriend, being spunky and, just embracing my adulthood and my sexuality.
Yeah. And then, with the Rockefeller situation, you had a nice buzz going on, but unfortunately it just didn't work out in the end. Why do you think it didn't work out?
I think when I came on board, I was unaware of a lot of things that were going on. And I was pretty much excited about coming on board. I met with Damon, and a lot of people still ask me, why didn't you go with Jay-Z? And, I have much respect for Jay-Z, always have. That was kind of really one of the reasons, the hustle and bustle of Rockefeller, just from the ground up. I just loved that it was a lot of teamwork, and nobody left anyone out. It was a lot of love for each other. It was a lot of working with each other, not leaving someone out. That's really what made me really want to be a part of that team.
Yeah.
And like I said, I didn't know really what was going on at the time, and I believe Jay-Z and Damon Dash, parted ways, and Damon left the whole situation behind, and I kind of came in with Damon Dash. Much respect to Damon Dash. He has really inspired me over the years to be myself, to smile, to be sad, to embrace, who I am, and let people know who I am. So at that time, I really, didn't know, and I kind of left with Damon, and we done a lot of things after Rockefeller. We done a lot of international tours that I went on with him. He helped me start a relationship with the Black Keys, which won a Grammy for one of the albums, the Brother album that I worked on through Damon Dash. So I don't think that it was a bad thing. I think it was the experience that I grew to love, and a whole new fan base from the Rockefeller team that I picked up a whole new set of fans on that hip hop side. A lot of hip hop artists and rap artists call me today to get on songs because of that love that I with that Rockefeller family, Cameron, Dipset, and Jim Jones, and, Joel Santana, and, just working with those hip-hop artists has definitely opened up a door for me with the new hip-hop artists like your Gucci Mane, your Waka Flockas, 2 Chainz, and Pusha T. I have established those relationships because of Rockefeller, so I don't think that it was a bad thing for me. It had definitely opened up a new door outside of my R&B and pop door. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. And then, you mentioned earlier, after Rockefeller, you had a chance to work on the Black Rock project, which I know was spearheaded by Dame Dash. Talk about that whole situation and the sound on that album, because it's a lot different from what we're used to hearing from you.
Absolutely. Well, Damon and I hadn't talked for a while, for a couple of years. I remember, calling him, he was going through a lot, and I remember, reaching out to him, and he was like, I'm not doing music anymore, and I was bugging the hell out of him. I was like, come on. I moved from Virginia to Atlanta, and I was calling him all the time because I was so used to that experience from going from, this fast-paced, high-energy, volume, custom life to just coming to settle in the South, and I'm like, calling him, he's like, I don't feel it, my soul is not there, I don't really feel like doing it right now, you're going to figure out something else, and I let it be. I let it be for a couple of years. And then I got a call out of nowhere, I think in 2008, 2009, late 2008, and he said, I want you to come to New York. And I'm like, okay, cool. I hadn't heard from him. It was so beautiful hearing his voice and hearing from him, you know, because I know he knew who Nicole Wray was. He believed in me. He was going to always push. So I was kind of, you know, a little sad that, you know, he was not feeling doing music at the time when I was bugging the hell out of him, but he did. He didn't forget me, and he called me. He's like, I want you to come, and I got this group, and, you know, it's going to be out of control. It's on some rock and roll, and I believe that your voice, what you always told me, Nicole, I believe your voice is what's going to pull this off. You know, they're looking for this soul, and I know you have it. And I said, cool, and I went, came, you know, got a flight and went to New York and met everybody, met Dan and Pat and everybody, the whole new team, and I felt like, wow, Damon is around a whole new set of people, because the Damon that I knew, the yelling Dame, the one that was always aggressive, was now like a Buddha head and like laid back and, you know, smoking his joints and just meditating, and he's into rock and roll, listening to a lot of rock records, and he pulled me into this because he felt like I was capable of pulling this off, and he knew that I could do it. And I met Dan, and Dan sat me down, and he was playing a lot of records, and, you know, he was like, wow, you know, I heard so much about you, and I just began to sing for them, and they was like, wow. And they just started putting me on every other record. Okay. From that Black Rock album, and I was the only female on that record. And then, long live that, they called me to come to Alabama to work on the Brothers album, Dirt Roads. It was a Dirt Roads, and we drove, me and a partner of mine, we drove from Atlanta down to Alabama, and it was so country, and like, they opened up this museum that it's called Muscle Show Studio, that Cher and a couple of artists from back in the 60s recorded. And it's kind of like, they say that there's a lot of spirits and stuff there, and they don't even use Pro Tools. It was so an experience for me. It was dark. It felt like I was back in the 60s, and just to work with those guys, it just opened me up to a whole new part of me that I knew that was there from my church background, from growing up in the Baptist church and the Pentecostal church that I kind of left behind to do this R&B thing, and I just kind of tapped back into it because of the Black Keys, just singing from my soul and from my roots. And now I'm working with a group called the Truth and Soul that also alongside the Black Keys, Amy Winehouse, Adele, and there's an indie label that I just signed to not long ago that I'm putting an album out, a group album with myself and a girl from the UK named Terry Walker that was also had an album out, I think in the late 90s on Def Jam UK.
Yeah.
So we worked on that album, and that album is amazing. We did it with Truth and Soul with a live band, and I mean, it's going to be amazing. I believe that we're going to drop it later this year.
Yeah.
And we're going to start shooting some videos next month, and that project will be coming out real soon.
Yeah. Cool. You know, you were also featured on Kid Cudi's last album, so obviously people see the talent that you have, but has this whole journey been frustrating for you, and how do you continue pushing through?
Oh, it's definitely been frustrating. I have a lot of highs and definitely a lot of lows, and a lot of people don't realize that I have been under the radar. I've done a lot of things. I've done a lot of soundtracks of some of your funniest movies to your hustle and flows. I've done a lot of things, and I have been rewarded. Small, but to me it's big because I'm still pushing forward to a lot of my fans and a lot of people that are curious that think that I'm not, you know, doing my best. I believe that I am. It's just finding the correct team and pushing forward and not giving up. And that day will come. It's not easy as it used to be. It's definitely hard. But like I said, I've worked with a lot of interesting people that always keep me at heart and at mind. And they always call me when I least expect it to come around and to write and to be a part of projects and that I'm grateful for. So I am frustrated and I am excited for my future because I know I have not, and my fans have not seen the best of me yet.
Okay, very cool. And last year, you and Seven Aurelius released an album called The Dream Factory Sessions, which I believe is old material, right?
It's definitely old. That material was produced and recorded in 2004.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Okay. And how come they decided to just release it recently?
Well, I definitely believe it had a lot to do with us leaving and parting ways with the record company. I got a release from Def Jam in 2006. I was signed to them in 2003, I believe, and I got a release from them. So it was a lot of, things that, go on with the labels and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And Seven definitely believed in that album, and he always promised me and told me that, we're going to fight, we're going to do whatever we can to make sure we have an outlet to put that album out. And still to this day, he's still fighting and pushing forward with that album that I felt like was the most amazing and creative time of my life working with Seven, because he allowed me to be free and to be me and to speak my mind and to work alongside with him, also producing and writing. And for me, that's a artist's dream, to be able to evolve in like a film, like an actor becoming a film director. Yeah. That's how I actually feel now, being able to work with the Sevens and producers that allow me to be creative outside of my, just my natural raw singing talent, to be hands-on. So I thank him for even pushing and still allowing the album to see the light of day, so my fans and, people that has been following me over the years can see my growth as an artist.
Yeah, definitely. And I know you mentioned earlier that you have a couple of projects coming out with some other people, but do you have anything of your own that you're coming out with? And how do you kind of describe your sound nowadays?
My sound is still very jazzy and most definitely now more soulful than ever. My vocals have definitely grown over the years. I will say I have definitely matured over the years with my vocals. I've been singing from since Make It Hot, and people don't realize that, because they don't see me, that does not mean that I'm not working and I'm not still living my everyday life. And I would like, to establish that, for people that don't understand, like, I am still Nicole Wray. I am still living and eating breakfast in the morning and taking showers and feeding my dog and going to the mailbox and writing music. And, a lot of people think that my life just absolutely stopped. Some people, and I feel like I still owe it to them to keep going, because they don't know that I'm still going and moving around and in everyday life just like them. So I feel obligated to keep pushing forward, to work on new projects and to accept things, and sometimes not get paid and wait for checks and do this and do that, because I know that one day soon that it's going to all come to full circle, and then we'll see me again, still looking beautiful, still singing, still smiling, and still having love for them, because I feel like that's why I'm here.
Yeah.
To keep going, not to give up. And I do have projects that I'm working on right now. I have worked on a project with Nitty out here in Atlanta that we're going to drop some music soon, and I'm working on a mixtape right now on a whole new R&B/pop project that I'm going to release soon also. Just my own solo project.
Okay, cool. And can you just kind of take me through your writing process? Because I know earlier on you didn't do a lot of writing, but, I know you've been developing as a writer, so can you just kind of take me through your process?
Oh, sure. I currently just got a publishing deal with Kobo, and they have a lot of big artists, and they do have a lot of catalogs, which they just signed Jimi Hendrix catalog, and I am one of their new top-line writers. And for me, I never really established myself as a writer, because I've always was so, I had Nicole Wray artist, Make It Hot flag, like, I'm an artist, and that's what I am, I'm true to my roots. But over the years, I've been doing a lot of writing, and because of that, I was rewarded a publishing deal, and I write a lot about, my experiences in life. the things that I see, my emotions, my family, my friends, the world, just everything as I see the world, life itself, just the feeling, the true emotion of a breakup, the true emotion of being upset, the true emotion of being sad, of being hungry, of just being, feeling sexual, just everything that I feel, and it has to, the production has to come across, because I am so articulate in particular about how I write.
Yeah.
I definitely go off emotions. I like to have me a glass of wine. I recently was smoking cigarettes, and I just quit smoking because I'm like, I don't want to smoke anymore. I just picked up a stupid habit, and I'm like, I don't want to smoke anymore. I've long lived that phase. But it definitely, I am definitely an artist when it comes down to writing, because I want to make sure that before I was just writing, like, just based off just how I was feeling, and now I'm more, like, in a zone. I get my pad, I get my pen, and I think, and I try to, attack things in a way that the consumer is going to relate to, and not just say, oh, she just wrote a song. I want them to actually feel where I'm coming from. Not on no neo-soul, not neo-soul, but I actually want to capture a feeling, because I want to keep my audience entertained, and I want them to understand the depth of what I'm saying, my vocals, my belting, and just the jazz and the hip-hop and the pop and the soul all in one. I want them to kind of embrace that. So I definitely go in phases, and you guys are going to hear that in this album that's coming out through Truth and Soul Records with Terry and I, my group album, and also a lot of stuff that I'm working on right now, like today. Like, I have a studio session today as we speak, and I've been working on a solo project that I'm going to release on iTunes real soon.
Yeah, cool. And, that's all that I had for you. Is there anything that you'd like to add?
No. I just want to, attach my website for my fans that are looking for me, or that's trying to see what I have coming up, or what's going on with me in the future. It's NicoleWray.com.
Yeah.
And my Twitter is it's Nicole Wray, and my Facebook is The Real Nicole Wray.